Hey everyone, welcome to week 31. This is day 4. This is our ongoing presence week. And for this week, we've painted a mound of earth. We painted a plate with aluminum foil over it. We painted yesterday an electric kettle. And for today, we're gonna see the evidence that we can find and the traces that we leave behind our actions. So let's see how we do today. Okay, let's get started. This is our 4th day on our ongoing presence week. Just as a small recap, we painted a mound of dirt. We painted a plate that has a bit of aluminum foil on top of it. And yesterday we painted an electric kettle that had its button pressed down. So, we could only suppose that there was water boiling inside of it. What we're doing throughout this week, remember, is trying to find little traces, little evidences that speak about our presence. We are trying to find echoes of the smallest of actions that we take part of and how we leave little clues behind that we can then pay attention to. And not only see the object, but within the object, and when reflecting upon the object itself, we try to see temporal qualities. We've tried to deduce that there is a past action, that there is a present where we reflect, where we contemplate that object, and that there is a future action that is going to take place. Those are the kind of ground rules that we are working on during this week when trying to identify little moments of presence. So for today, we are going to do something that is a little bit different for me. And I'll try to explain why, because even though I am going to paint an object, I think that the tone behind the painting hopefully shows that it is a little bit difficult for me because I don't quite have a connection with what I'm painting. And I've always been curious about how people can actually go about doing this. I don't pride myself in connecting with everything I paint, but I've always understood that we should paint the things that we know. We shouldn't really speak or paint about things that don't belong to us, that are foreign to us. So in my career, I've done my best. I'm sure I'm not perfect at doing this, but I've done my best at trying to paint things that I truly have affinity towards. But our subject matter for today is something that I just don't feel truly connected to. What I'm going to paint today is a still life, but it's a flower still life. There is a grand tradition of painting flowers. I mean, if you go back to Dutch Baroque flower painting, those paintings are absolutely magnificent. Those paintings are just incredibly beautiful. They were very, very popular and expensive at the time, so the people that were able to produce these paintings were highly regarded artists. I'm going to be incredibly honest here, and even though I accept the masterful quality that is absolutely evident in every one of those paintings, whenever I'm in a museum and I know that there is a room full of these paintings, I usually just walk past it because I've made an effort. I'm not saying that I'm just neglecting to see this. I've made huge efforts in trying to connect with these paintings. I've read about these paintings. I try to understand them contextually, but it's just that there's a barrier in those paintings that honestly impedes me from experiencing them fully, from enjoying them wholly. So I feel defeated when I go to one of those rooms and I feel, okay, this is not for me. And I can totally understand that. Sometimes as a painter, sometimes I feel that because we should respect our painting history, that one way of paying my respect is just trying to find everything that is good within every bit of painting that I encounter in my life. And the truth is, we are human beings, and as human beings, we are going to be moved by things. And sometimes, maybe this painting that everyone says is absolutely beautiful just doesn't move our needle, and we just don't connect with it at all. That happens to me usually with flower paintings, with floral paintings. Now, the ones that I don't connect with the most are the very famous Dutch Baroque floral paintings. But, there are other flower paintings in painting history, of course, thank God, that I appreciate and that I actually can look at them and I can say, wow, that's a hell of a painter underneath there. For example, it is well known, but Fantin Latour, the French painter, the French 19th century painter, he is a beast at painting flowers. He did some of the most gorgeous flower still lifes that you're ever going to find in painting history. And he is an absolute genius. Thayer, the American painter, he also did some flower paintings that when I've been lucky enough to see them, I've been like, wow, this is a hell of a painting. You know, in terms of the technical qualities, the formal qualities, I always accept when a painting is just masterful. I'm even moved more so when the subject matter, which is a subject matter that I don't really connect with, ends up being a painting that I enjoy. So Thayer's paintings, Fantin Latour's paintings, I do enjoy them profoundly. And like I said, as a painter that respects formal qualities, respects technique, when I see those, I'm like, yeah, this is a hell of a painting. You know, there's no doubt in my mind. It may not be the painting that I remember once I step out of the gallery or the museum, but still, I acknowledge and I have total respect for those paintings. Now, today, even though we kind of associate a floral painting with something that's overly saccharine and commercial, there are very talented painters that do some beautiful paintings of flowers. Just off the top of my head, Richard Schmidt does very beautiful flower paintings. In that tradition, then Daniel James Keyes is a really gifted painter and has this gorgeous connection with the subject matter and with his flower paintings. And his paintings are technically fantastic. Speaking about Fantin Latour, obviously, Michael Klein, he pays homage to Latour with his flower paintings. Michael is a fantastic painter. He's an incredibly sensitive painter. So those paintings are really incredible in terms of the technical standpoint. And one of the painters that I connect with the most that concentrates on floral themes is Kathleen Speranza. I think Kathleen is a ridiculously good painter, and I think there's something different about her flower paintings. They just feel organic. They just feel like they are absolutely alive. I don't think a flower conveying its liveliness is based solely on its petals being firm and its colors being bright and saturated. There is something about Kathleen's paintings where the flowers almost sag. They know that their life is limited, it's finite, and they are almost sagging. They really feel like flesh. It's almost like flower as flesh. So they sag, and sometimes they're kind of gasping for air. And I absolutely love that. I feel like those flowers know that they are very much so alive. Other flower paintings, I feel like we're trying to cut and paste something that is beautiful in nature, in its natural habitat, and we are trying to pluck those things and take them into our studio and saying, okay, now you're going to be this caged nightingale, although that little bird is probably going to live for longer than those flowers, and I'm going to express your beauty through my painting. I've heard this argument that flowers don't last forever, but a painting of flowers will, which by now, if you guys know me already, you will know that I am just so not into that argument. I don't feel a painting is a vehicle for eternity. I just don't like to see painting as that. So in that sense, to me, if you ask me, what the greatest flower painting in all the history of painting is, I'm going to have to say it has to be this Mark Tansey painting because it is perfect. It is absolutely perfect. It actually encompasses our attitude when painting flowers. We are saying, oh my God, this is so beautiful in nature that I am going to dislocate it from nature, sequester it for a bit. I know I'm sounding a little bit hyperbolic and overly dramatic maybe by saying this, but you take it from nature, you bring it to your studio, you put it in a vase that's very nice, then you paint it. You have now this beautiful painting of this beautiful subject matter. And what do you do with your subject matter once you're done? Oh, you're useless. I don't need you anymore. Goodbye. You throw it out. So we started off by just saying that this is the most beautiful thing in nature. This is the most beautiful example of color in nature. When we speak about saturation and color in nature, we undoubtedly imagine flowers. When we speak about hues, we just imagine floral arrangements. So we are so moved by it that we are just going to strip it out of nature and just paste it on top of our painting, and we are done. Now we have a painting as a reminder of that beauty in nature. And that's why I think Mark Tansey's painting is just absolute genius. Like almost every single painting that he does, I think he is Incredibly underrated. I think he is one of the brightest minds that has ever painted. I think he is one of the most important painters of the latter half of the 20th century. I think he is absolutely huge. He has dark humor. He's sarcastic with his painting. So difficult to combine humor in art, but I think he does it masterfully, and his paintings are so insanely simple yet intelligent. He is just a feast for the eyes. He is a joy to see. To me, that's the greatest flower still life painting in all of painting history. So why am I painting this painting? If I have nothing nice to say about flowers, why paint this painting today? Why paint something that I don't connect with? And let me try to explain. I get invited to do a bunch of workshops, of painting workshops worldwide, and sometimes you're in very nice villas or hotels or Airbnbs or whatever. That's going to be my home away from home for X amount of time, a week, 2 weeks, whatever amount of time the workshops take. And when I get there, there's usually all these like little flower arrangements, which is something that I would never find in my apartment. I just don't like to have this bit of nature that it's ripped from nature and placed in my apartment just to make it look nicer, just to apparently make it look nicer. So whenever I go into these rooms that I'm going to temporarily inhabit, I'm always aware that somebody else was arranging this for me. I don't really connect with having flowers in the place that I live in. I much rather just see them in the wild, and I love native flowers. So I spotted this flower as soon as I got in, and I'm not going to throw it out. I'm not going to do anything like that. And I was living with it, and I remember just spending that first night in that room and just waking up and seeing this flower once again as this very welcoming object, and then seeing, in the mirror, and I tried to paint it, but I wasn't trying to be super explicit about what I was describing, just an unmade bed reflected in the mirror that's off on the top left corner. So all of these little elements, in my mind, are signifying that this is a place, this is a temporary place that I'm occupying. This is not my home. And I obviously appreciate that somebody went through that effort to try and make me feel welcomed, and that's very, very nice. I'm not going to be an idiot, and I'm not going to say, oh my God, flowers? What soulless fiend left me flowers in my room? Oh my God, I'm going to vomit. No, of course not. I'm a normal human being. I'm obviously very, very thankful for that. But it does remind me that this is not me, that these are actions that are taken by someone else. That if it were for me, I would just walk to the nearest garden, or I would just love to see greenery and shrubbery in a park that's nearby. And even though the flowers may not be as nice, or even though you would see them at the end of their life cycle where they're just kind of sagging and dying, I always find that far more beautiful than just this blooming flower full of very rich, saturated color. So this is just me. I'm not trying to be dark about this. I'm not trying to complain about flowers. I'm not trying to dismiss a floral painting. I'm just being very, very honest and saying this is something that I don't really connect with. But I started this video saying, how do you paint something that you don't connect with, that you don't have empathy for? And I think I kind of found a way, because even though what I'm painting is a bit of flowers that are arranged in this little bottle that's acting as a vase, the painting is about something else. The painting is about something not belonging to me. The painting is about an action that had to be committed by somebody who was not me. The painting spoke about a presence that was not my own. It actually reminded me that this place that I was in is not my home. It is only temporary. And I think that that's what I thought about when I was painting. And I realized that even though we may not have connections with our subject matter, if our focus is on something entirely different, if we're saying something through the painting of that bottle and those flowers, then I am very much so capable of painting flowers. I just feel like I would be the most horrible person to paint flowers when trying to just speak about the beautiful, subtle quality of flowers. I just can't do that. I know myself as a human being. I know myself as a painter. And I mean, I try to paint a flower, but I'm sure that it wouldn't really work that well. That's why the flower painting that I did a couple of weeks back doesn't really feel like a flower painting. There's nothing about those roses where you're trying to paint the essence of a rose. There were roses that had lost a ton of their petals, but I was using flowers to speak about about design and rhythm, but I wasn't really interested in just the beauty of a flower. That's why I don't think I've done 3 flower paintings in my life. Throughout this year, out of the over 150 paintings that we've done already, there's only 2 paintings of flowers, which don't really feel like paintings of flowers. So it was really cool for me to understand that if we shift our focus, we are very much so capable of dealing with any subject matter, even if it's subject matter that we feel that doesn't belong to us and we don't connect. What we speak about through it, and we have to make that very, very clear. There has to be no ounce of doubt about that, and we have to be adamant about what our message was behind that painting, especially if we are painting something that we don't either agree with or connect with. We have to have a reason. We have to. This is something that's almost obligatory. We can't weasel our way out of that. So if we make that clear, and hopefully I'm making that clear when I'm describing why I'm painting this in this video, then we can try and understand a subject matter that we feel foreign or we feel is not really or truly affecting us or we don't connect with. Today, it was very much so echoing what we did on Monday, where we understood that this action belonged to somebody else. This was committed by somebody else. This was a different person from yourself that was doing this. So on Monday, somebody else shoveled all that dirt. And today, the quality of them being strangers was very much so apparent because they were doing something that I'm always like, yeah, I don't really need flowers. It's not that I don't enjoy them. It's not that I don't like them. It's just that I don't need them. Let them be. Leave them in a pot somewhere else or let them just be in a garden. And I'm sure they're beautiful over there. I will take a walk and look at them over there, and I'll be super happy if I see bees around there and little ladybugs, and I love that stuff. But I don't want them in my room. So that was a reminder that, yes, I was a stranger there, that this was a strange place for me, and this was a place that I was just going to inhabit for a small amount of time. Today was kind of weird because it was presence through subject matter that we don't connect with. And if we want to deal with that, and if we want to paint that, if we want to talk about that, we can, but we have to reflect upon it and we have to think about it really hard and we have to make it clear why we're doing it. So that was it for today. Thank you guys for hanging out. Tomorrow, last day on our presence week, it's going to be very subtle. I'm going to go back to my mother's house, which is my house. That's my home. When I think of home, I think of my mother's house. We're going to go back. I love finding little details, little clues in that house that only us, only my brother, my sisters, my mother, my father, and myself would be able to recognize instantly and would be able to connect with immediately. So tomorrow we'll do one of those. I always love painting my mother's house. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out. I love flowers. Bye.